The year my ex-husband and I divorced, things got really ugly. He cursed me with the most vicious words, wishing me a horrible end. Furious, I went abroad. 6 years later, at a class reunion, someone poured me a drink, but he instinctively stopped them. She's allergic to alcohol, she can't drink. At his words, the previously lively private dining room fell into an eerie silence. Everyone stared at Marcus and me with strange looks. After all, our breakup had been pretty ugly. 6 years ago, Marcus cheated on me with my best friend, Chloe. And he didn't want to hurt either woman, hoping the three of us could coexist peacefully. My worldview was shattered, and after a huge scene, I furiously went abroad. And I only came back today. Knowing all this, everyone had avoided pressing me for details during our initial pleasantries, but, however, was eager to curry favor. After refusing the drink on my behalf, he took it upon himself to get up and pour tea into my wine glass. David frowned, clearly disapproving of his actions. But seeing I said nothing, he could only smile and smooth things over. It's fine, it's fine. If can't drink, she doesn't have to. Toasting with tea works just as well. Exactly, exactly. Everyone else quickly agreed, all hoping for this little interlude to pass quickly. After all, it wasn't easy for everyone to get together, and there was no need to ruin the reunion over personal grudges. I didn't want to lose face either, so I generously picked up the glass and drained it. But as I put the glass down, I clearly saw a hint of a smile in Marcus's eyes. As if my act of drinking the tea signified something. I didn't want to maliciously speculate, so I calmly shifted my gaze. Just then, a waiter came in to serve the dishes. To my surprise, the dishes they brought were all my favorites. Along with my surprise, I suddenly remembered that Marcus had ordered the food. I glanced at him out of the corner of my eye. He was leaning back in his chair, head tilted slightly, with a playful and expectant look in his eyes, as if waiting for me to notice. It suddenly dawned on me that all his actions today were attempts to get closer to me. I have to say, that disgusted me a little. A decent ex should disappear from the other person's world as if they were dead, not constantly show up trying to win favor. What's more, Marcus married Chloe less than a month after I went abroad. I'd never heard they divorced. Bearing the title of a married man, he repeatedly made ambiguous gestures towards his ex-wife. That was too much. Not wanting to attract gossip, I coldly called a waiter and asked for a glass of orange juice. From then on, whenever someone raised a toast, I drank that instead. Leaving the tea Marcus had poured to slowly grow cold. I thought my attitude was clear enough. Unexpectedly, Marcus suddenly reached out his chopsticks and skillfully placed a piece of grilled meat in my bowl. You've gotten thin. You must not have been eating well abroad, have you? His overly intimate tone made me even more uncomfortable. I looked at the food in my bowl as if it were some disgusting filth, unable to pick up my chopsticks. Yet acted as if he didn't notice, serving me a portion of every dish. Soon, the food in my bowl piled up like a small mountain. Now, everyone's attention was involuntarily drawn to us. What's going on with these two? They haven't made up already, have they? No way. Isn't Marcus still married? So what? They were always meant to be together. If it weren't for Chloe interfering, they wouldn't have broken up. The original spouse is always the best. Under string of questionable actions, our classmates began to speculate whether we had secretly gotten back together. Some even suggested that I'd returned back home just for Marcus. And the instigator watched it all unfold with complete composure, without saying a word, seemingly intent on solidifying the rumors. Although I wasn't sure why Marcus was doing this, I truly didn't want anything to do with him anymore. So, without thinking, I opened my mouth, intending to announce that I was already married. But before I could speak, the private dining room door was pushed open. Chloe stood at the doorway, her face sullen. The moment her eyes met mine, she froze for a second, then her expression immediately changed, breaking into a wide smile. Grace, when did you get back home? Why didn't you say anything? With that, she casually walked in and sat next to Marcus. As soon as she sat down, she noticed the dishes on the table. As my friend for many years, she naturally knew my preferences. Her face immediately went pale, looking somewhat embarrassed. But quickly, she looked up and glared at me fiercely, as if I had intentionally ordered such a spread to embarrass her. I couldn't help but feel a pang of irony. The I remembered wasn't like this. I remembered back in freshman year of high school, during PE class, I got my period, and my pants were stained with blood. A group of boys around me started laughing. Look, Grace's butt is bleeding. Ugh, that's disgusting. It was the first time I'd been publicly ridiculed and discussed. My back immediately stiffened, and I stood there, lost for words. Chloe suddenly rushed over, tied her jacket around my waist, and yelled at the group of boys. "What's so funny? Isn't it normal for girls to bleed during their period? If you don't understand, go pay attention in biology class instead of making jokes out of ignorance." Silence immediately fell around us. Afterward, to thank Chloe, I gave her a box of fruit candy. She accepted it, puffed out her chest, and promised me, "If they ever dare bully you again, just find me, and I'll definitely sort them out." I thought it was just a joke, but Chloe actually kept her promise. Back then, Marcus and I were childhood sweethearts, inseparable wherever we went. Many classmates would gossip behind our backs. Some even spread rumors that Marcus and I had already gone all the way. At first, I didn't pay any attention. But after all, we were still teenagers, less resilient than adults. Hearing it repeatedly, I inevitably felt sad and wronged. So after another dirty joke, I broke down. I walked to the front of the classroom, crying, and said that Marcus and I had absolutely never done anything inappropriate. Marcus also stood up to explain. But the more we tried, the more excited those people became. They exchanged glances and started booing and jeering. "Oh, look. Say a few words about the girl," and the boy jumps up to defend her. "And they say they're not together. They go home together after school every day, who knows what they're doing behind closed doors." Ha ha ha. Another round of laughter erupted. I was struck as if by lightning, frozen in place. Just then, Chloe suddenly slammed her hand on the table, stood up, and walked straight to the group. After looking them over one by one, she smirked. Oh, why do you three always go to the restroom together? Who knows what you're doing behind closed doors? He, I heard real good brothers sometimes become the woman for each other when they need one. So, have any of you been that woman for your good brothers? If heterosexual relationships were chaotic in high school, implying homosexuality was like blowing everything wide open. The boys' faces turned white with fear, and they hurriedly apologized to Marcus and me. After that, they never dared to gossip again. Chloe and I became good friends because of it. She was the kind of person who was optimistic, kind, upright, and courageous, someone who would go to bat for me. But what about her now? For a man, she not only abandoned her inherent sense of justice but also immediately started throwing dirt on me. "Grace, are you still blaming me for stealing Marcus away back then? Is that why you wouldn't even tell me you were back home?" I hadn't expected her to say that, and I didn't react immediately. She then deliberately raised her voice, saying in a wrong tone, "Just now, when I spoke to you, you didn't even respond. Weren't you intentionally trying to embarrass me? I know you've never gotten over Marcus, but he's my husband now. Are you trying to seduce him right in front of me?" A sudden uproar broke out among the onlookers. Inquisitive glances darted back and forth between Chloe and me, but I was somewhat surprised by Marcus's attitude. He actually didn't stop Chloe from talking nonsense. Instead, he rested his chin in his hand, watching me with a half-smile. As if he was expecting me to seduce him. How could he show such an expression? Had he forgotten how he cursed me back then? I only found out that the boyfriend Chloe spoke of was Marcus on the day she attempted suicide. At that time, Marcus and I were married, and I was 5 months pregnant. She suddenly sent me a photo of her slit wrist, saying she was sorry and didn't want to live anymore. The exposed red flesh made my scalp tingle with fear, and I quickly called an ambulance. After arriving at the hospital, I was completely distraught, suddenly unsure of what I should do. I could only kneel, cradling my baby bump, pleading the doctors over and over to save Chloe. Fortunately, after the doctor's efforts, she was out of danger. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Next, I had to confront the man who had driven her to this. But I didn't know him. My only clue about him was Chloe's tear-reddened eyes. So after I calmed down, I went to Chloe's dorm room to get her phone. I wanted to lure that man out and give him a good beating. But when I actually had the phone in my hand, I was completely stunned. Chloe's screensaver was a pair of hands clasped tightly together. The man's ring finger wore a ring. I recognized it instantly. It was Marcus's and my wedding ring. So, that man was Marcus? How could it be him? Impossible. Panicked, I entered my own birthday, trying to unlock the phone. But the screen displayed incorrect password. I tried Chloe's birthday next, but it was still incorrect password. Finally, with trembling hands, I entered Marcus's birthday. The phone unlocked. In truth, by this point, everything was crystal clear. Yet, deep down, I still clung to a sliver of hope. Maybe that hand wasn't Marcus's, perhaps it was just a resemblance. Maybe the password wasn't Marcus's birthday, perhaps Chloe had just chosen some random numbers. However, all my strained reasons couldn't stand against the overwhelming evidence in the photo album. Over 1,000 photos of Marcus and Chloe together, eating together, traveling together, lying in bed together. And then there were photos taken after their first time being intimate. A dazzling red stain on the white sheets. The date was 4 months ago. The very day I found out I was pregnant. The reason I remember it so clearly is because when I told Marcus the news, he excitedly spun me around. Chloe was also there at the time, insisting she wanted to be the baby's godmother. Those were the happiest days of my life. Nurturing a new life, with my beloved and my best friend by my side. But I never imagined that I'd announced my pregnancy in the morning, only for those two to get together that very afternoon. How ridiculous. The two people who had been with me throughout my youth had betrayed me long ago. Yet I hadn't noticed a thing. If it weren't for wanting to stand up for Chloe this time, a clueless person like me might never have found out. The thought of me, just moments ago, foolishly kneeling with my baby bump, begging doctors to save her, made me want to laugh. But as I laughed, I suddenly stopped. A thought suddenly flashed through my mind. Chloe's wrist-slitting suicide attempt. Could it have been a ploy to force Marcus's hand? Clutching the phone, I drove back to the hospital. I had intended to ask Chloe in person why she did it. But instead, I stumbled upon Marcus yelling at her. "Are you out of our goddamn mind, messing around with your own life?" Chloe pouted, her voice laced with a hint of defiance. I wasn't kidding, I really wanted to die. Marcus choked with anger, pointing at her several times, unable to speak. What can I even say to you?" Chloe gave a sad smile. "Go ahead and curse me however you want. I won't agree to break up with you anyway. In this life, I don't want anyone but you." Marcus froze, then sighed helplessly. "Then have you considered what would happen if Grace found out about this?" Chloe's expression flickered slightly, but she quickly said, quite casually, "Then just say I seduced you. If she absolutely has to hate someone, let her hate me. You can't just keep suffering because she's pregnant and claims she's too precious to be touched." I couldn't bear that. Marcus suddenly chuckled. "Why are you always thinking about that?" Chloe immediately got flustered upon hearing that. "Marcus, you're making fun of me again. I'm not talking to you anymore." With that, she turned her back, her cheeks puffed out in anger like a little pufferfish. Marcus was amused by her. He pulled her into his arms, cooing softly, "All right, baby, don't be mad, I was just joking." Marcus suddenly stopped. A muffled groan ended their conversation, replaced by more intimate, hushed sounds of rising and falling. I knew exactly what was happening inside, and my body trembled violently. As his wife, I had never neglected my husband's physical needs. It was Marcus himself who said he was worried about affecting the baby's development, and he was the one who suggested we not sleep together. Now, in Chloe's mouth, it was all my fault. Rage surged within me. I couldn't hold back anymore. I shoved the door open and screamed, "What are you doing?" Instantly, Marcus frantically pulled the blanket over Chloe. But how could a person that size, kneeling on the bed, possibly be hidden? I hadn't burst in to give them a chance to bury their heads in the sand. I immediately walked over, intending to pull off the blanket. But grabbed my hand, his voice a commanding, undeniable, "Stop making a scene." Furious, I glared at him. "What if I insist on making a scene?" Marcus didn't answer. In the silent hospital room, one of us tried to pull the blanket off, while the other desperately held it down. Neither would back down. The next second, a faint zipper sound echoed in the room. And then, Chloe emerged from under the blanket. Her face was flushed, her hair disheveled. Yet, glancing at me, she curved her lips into a smirk, her eyes full of provocation. My anger flared again. I backhanded her. Chloe's head snapped to the side from the slap, and blood seeped from the corner of her mouth. But I didn't feel satisfied at all, so I raised my hand, ready to hit her again. "Enough." Marcus suddenly stood up, blocking Chloe and me. "It's already happened. What good will hitting her do?" I let out a humorless, angry laugh, grabbing his collar and demanding, "What about you then? You did this to me, what do you want?" Marcus stared at me in astonishment, speechless for a long time. I was so disappointed in him. Releasing his collar, I asked tremblingly, "You want to divorce me, don't you?" "No. I've never thought that." Marcus's reaction was strong. He dropped to his knees with a thud, crying and apologizing to me over and over. "I'm sorry, wife, I know I was wrong, I'm sorry." It was the same phrase, repeated incessantly. But what I wanted was never an apology, it was a solution. And then? Just an "I'm sorry and it's over"? I couldn't help but yell. My almost desperate voice made Marcus panic. He paused, then as if finally making up his mind, he spoke softly. Wife, how about we start over? Please give me another chance. I promise I won't make the same mistake again. What about Chloe then? How do you plan to deal with her? I pointed out the crucial issue without mercy, but Marcus's expression turned troubled. He stammered, and it was well before he softly said, Chloe, she'll naturally still be our good friend. I stared at him in shock, my voice trembling with excessive rage. No way, Marcus, I'm telling you, it's her or me. You choose. Grace. Marcus coldly reprimanded me by my full name, then stood up and told me with a grave expression. Do you have any idea why Chloe tried to kill herself? It's because I tried to break up with her. I paused, staring at him blankly. So we can't provoke her anymore right now. Don't you understand? Marcus said this with great displeasure. I finally understood. He refused to break up with Chloe. Then, the only option was. I slowly clenched my fists, and finally said the words. Marcus, let's get a divorce. Marcus paused, then let out a scoff as if he'd heard a joke. What nonsense are you talking about? You're still carrying my child. I blurted out. It's fine, I can get an abortion. The air suddenly froze. Marcus exploded in rage. Grace, stop being so unreasonable. I'm not being unreasonable, I'm serious. I no longer wanted to engage in pointless arguments. After saying that, I turned to schedule an abortion, but grabbed my hand, preventing me from leaving. The baby isn't just yours, you can't abort it. I chuckled lightly, then made my demand again. Then break up with Chloe. Marcus immediately became agitated. Didn't I just say? I can't break up with her, she'll kill herself. And I've already talked to Chloe, she said she doesn't need a title and doesn't want children. The three of us can just go on as before. I'll be your husband, and she'll be your good friend. Wouldn't it be good to live like that for the rest of our lives? My worldview was shattered. I never imagined that after all his stalling, Marcus's plan was actually to enjoy having two lovers. I was so disgusted that I immediately pulled off my wedding ring and violently threw it at his face. Get out. Marcus didn't dodge and took the hit squarely. Only his tone was higher pitched, even more furious than mine. Grace, what is wrong with you? This isn't okay, that isn't okay. Are you only happy if you force Chloe to die? When did you become so cruel? I couldn't reason with him. So, I fell silent. As we stood in silent confrontation, Chloe suddenly hissed in pain. Blood was seeping from her wrist, unnoticed until now. Marcus was terrified and immediately ran out to call a doctor. As he reached the doorway, he suddenly remembered something, turned back, and grabbed my arm. Grace, you're still in the heat of the moment, you might make a wrong decision. Why don't you go home and calm down? I'll go get the doctor, and then I'll see you out. Without waiting for my refusal, he pulled me out. Clearly, he didn't want me to be alone with Chloe. Afterward, he called the doctor and personally saw me into a taxi. Before we parted, he still seemed uneasy, repeatedly reminding me in my ear. Call me when you get home. Chloe will probably need a few more days here. Be good, we can talk about anything else later. I couldn't be bothered to respond to him. Halfway there, I told the driver to change the destination, going to another hospital to register and schedule an abortion. While waiting, I didn't sit idle. I quickly scheduled a divorce appointment on my phone. The next morning, I went to the hospital at my appointed time and underwent the procedure. Throughout that time, Marcus kept sending me messages. I didn't reply to a single one. By noon, feeling rested enough, I picked up the box and hurried to the hospital. When I arrived, Marcus was chasing Chloe around, trying to feed her. My dearest, just one bite, please, just one? Chloe determinedly turned her head away, pouting heavily. No way, I'm on a diet. With that, she pushed the rice bowl further into Marcus's lap. Marcus sighed helplessly. Baby, you can't not eat. Just one bite. Just one bite. If you eat it, hubby will give you kisses, okay? Chloe tilted her head, seemingly thinking seriously for a moment, then nodded. Okay. As soon as she spoke, the two of them kissed. It was at that moment that I kicked the door open and walked in. The two on the bed immediately scattered like startled birds. When they saw it was me, Marcus frowned, his face full of impatience. Why didn't you knock? Did the dogs eat your manners? I smiled faintly and retorted, your mouth stinks so much, did you just eat shit? Marcus froze for a second, then quickly realized I was alluding to him, and his face showed displeasure. Alright, you already made a scene yesterday, what are you here for again? I said with a calm expression, to keep making a scene, of course. Marcus's face suddenly went pale. He stood in front of Chloe, warning me with a cold, stern tone, that's enough, stop making a scene. I refused with a faint smile. In your dreams. You two scumbags pulled off such a shameless stunt and you think I'll just accept it? No way. I'm telling you, Marcus, you can only choose one, Chloe or me. Marcus frowned, seemingly trying to think of another way. But how could I give him that chance? I immediately pulled out Chloe's phone and tapped into the class WhatsApp group. Then I threatened. Marcus, I'm giving you 1 minute. If you can't choose, I'll send all the evidence of your affair to the class WhatsApp group, and we'll see who ends up more humiliated. No. Chloe, who had been playing dead, finally couldn't keep up the act. She shrieked, leaped off the bed, and rushed over, trying to snatch the phone. I was quick-witted, and right in front of her, I randomly tapped to send a picture. She instantly froze. Marcus stood frozen in disbelief. You actually sent it? I looked down and said with a hint of regret, what a shame. It was only a photo of holding hands. People probably won't be able to tell that Chloe's lover is you. Hearing that, both of them visibly breathed a sigh of relief. Then, Chloe turned her head, looking at Marcus with a wronged express. Ion. Marcus, are you just going to stand there and watch Grace bully me? At her words, Marcus glanced at me, then looked at Grace. Ultimately, he still walked towards me. As he walked, he cooed softly. Wife, I know I was wrong. How about I choose you? I paused, about to speak. Marcus suddenly grabbed my wrist, using the opportunity to snatch the phone and toss it to Chloe. Then he glared at me with cold eyes, as if blaming me for stirring up trouble. But he didn't know that I had already anticipated his move. My not resisting was merely to ensure I completely gave up hope. My goal was achieved. I would never shed another tear for Marcus in this lifetime, nor would I feel guilty for impulsively aborting the child. From now on, I could calmly tell everyone. I, Grace, had done nothing wrong. All of this, Marcus brought upon himself. Suddenly, the heaviness in my chest vanished. I calmly looked at Marcus. So, even now, you still choose her, don't you? Perhaps annoyed by my repeated questions, Marcus turned and roared at me. Chloe would die for me, what about you? I let out a cold laugh and slowly began to speak. Of course, I wouldn't die for someone like you, but your son can. After saying that, I placed the box on the bed. As and Chloe stood completely bewildered, I ripped it open. The 5-month-old fetus was already formed. Just a few days ago, when Marcus accompanied me for the 4D ultrasound, the baby was still moving. The little rascal was biting his finger then. Marcus praised how cute he was, saying he looked forward to the baby growing up every day. Now, with the fetus right in front of him, he was so terrified that he collapsed onto the floor. Grace, you're crazy. You're absolutely insane. You actually aborted the baby, you maniac. Marcus staggered to his feet, clutching the box and sobbing uncontrollably. I watched coldly, not forgetting to remind him, remember to check your messages. He looked at me blankly, what messages? I've scheduled our divorce. Since you can't bear to break it off with Chloe, I'll be considerate and make way for you too. Marcus, congratulations. You'll never be in a dilemma again in this life. I closed my eyes, finishing these words calmly. Marcus completely broke down. He hadn't expected me to resolve both major issues, the abortion and the divorce, so quickly and calmly. He shivered, looking at me as if I were something terrifying. Grace, how could you do it? How could you bring yourself to do such a thing? The fetus was already 5 months old, how could you be so heartless? Humph. What right did the person who personally destroyed my life have to question me? All I did was. I'm simply treating you the way you treated me. Since you cheated while I was pregnant, I won't let you have your way. If you want a child, go ask the Reaper for one. I roared those words with all my strength. Marcus froze, then pointed at me and cursed me out. Crazy, you're a lunatic. You heartless woman, you murderer. You'll come to a bad end. He cursed me with the most vicious words imaginable. After that day, Marcus and I completely broke off. He agreed to the divorce and refused to speak another word to me. I happily enjoyed the peace, quickly going abroad after getting my divorce certificate. However, whether he intended to disgust me one last time or for some other reason, Marcus married Chloe less than a month after I left. This stunned all the classmates who had watched us over the years, and they messaged me one after another, asking what had happened. To cause Marcus trouble, I sent all the evidence of his infidelity for everyone to see. Overnight, everyone knew that Marcus had cheated on me with my best friend Chloe while I was pregnant. Some classmates, unable to stand it, even formed a group to go give Marcus a good scolding. Marcus was almost driven mad with anger and wanted to confront me, but I had already deleted him and Chloe. In these past few years, while their love seemed as deep As the ocean and they were inseparable, I found my true love abroad. If it weren't for tariff issues, my husband's factory wouldn't be moving back home to develop. I wouldn't have returned back home so soon. Attending this class reunion was also to gather useful information. Before coming, I had specifically checked the list of classmates who signed up in the group chat. I hadn't seen Marcus's name, but when I got to the private dining room, I found out he had actually come. I couldn't just turn around and leave, could I? It would make me seem petty. Besides, 6 years had passed, and I had a new life. I might as well just let it go. At least maintain superficial peace. Chances were, we wouldn't have any contact in the future anyway. But I hadn't expected Chloe to show up out of nowhere and deliberately throw dirt on me. I've never been a pushover, and there was no way I would tolerate her walking all over me. But what angered me even more was the culprit, Marcus. He had hurt 2 women, yet he still had the nerve to look at me with such an expectant gaze. What exactly was he expecting? I frowned slightly, sweeping my gaze around the room, my tone indifferent. I won't elaborate on what happened back then. I believe everyone here already knows full well. If hadn't insisted on slandering me here today, I wouldn't have brought up the past. But since things have come to this, I'll be direct. I, Grace, have never done anything wrong in my life. The only mistake I ever made was agreeing to marry Marcus. To this day, I still feel ashamed of having been his wife. Marcus completely froze. His face was pale as he stared at me, seemingly unable to believe I considered him a stain on my life. But I didn't care what he thought. Only still wouldn't give up. She stared at me for a moment, a look of doubt on her face. You talk a good game, but you still came to the class reunion, didn't you? I was speechless. Is there a rule that says I can't come to a class reunion? Chloe. Of course not, but we have reunions every year. Why didn't you come in previous years? Why did you only come back precisely when Marcus is about to divorce me? Are you still going to deny you want to get back with him? I froze, then frowned involuntarily. Marcus and Chloe were getting divorced? I genuinely didn't know about that. And it wasn't just me, all the classmates present were equally shocked. This explained why Marcus had been making such a fuss over me earlier. So, he was getting a divorce and looking for me to take him back. I found the whole thing quite exasperating. Chloe's gaze remained fixed on me. Seeing that I didn't speak, she immediately said triumphantly and loudly, "What's wrong? Did I guess your intentions correctly? Speechless now?" I gave her a faint glance, knowing that explaining anything to someone like her was useless. It was better to just present the evidence. I raised my right hand, pointed to the diamond ring on my ring finger, and said with a smile, "I got married 2 years ago." At my words, Chloe breathed a sigh of relief. Marcus, however, suddenly grabbed the cup in his hand and threw it forcefully onto the table. Instantly, shards flew everywhere. Everyone was startled. In the end, the good reunion was still ruined. Everyone grumbled with resentment. I didn't want to stay any longer, so I told them, "I have to go," and turned to leave. Unexpectedly, Marcus chased after me and cornered me. I asked, puzzled, "Is there anything else?" He didn't speak. I turned to leave, and he finally choked out, "Grace, I've actually regretted it for a long time." "I know," I replied calmly. I clearly remembered that even before Marcus decided to get married to Chloe, he had sent me messages from other friends' numbers. He said that if I just gave in a little, he would immediately break it off with Chloe. He claimed he didn't love Chloe. It was just that I was pregnant at the time and he had no outlet for his needs, which led him to make a mistake. But these words were nothing short of adding fuel to the fire, pushing me even further away. I didn't reply and immediately blocked that friend. But it still didn't stop Marcus. Even after he and Chloe got their marriage certificate, he still wouldn't give up, often using other classmates' WhatsApp accounts to complain to me and beg me to come back. I blocked all of them. After a while, my world finally found peace. I just never imagined that 6 years later, with me already married and having had a child, Marcus was still stuck in the regret phase. The moment he heard me say I knew about his regrets, intense joy instantly flared in his eyes. "You know? Then could you?" "No." I coldly cut him off. "Marcus, I'm married. Please stop harassing me." Marcus froze, then instinctively retorted, "So what if you're married? You can divorce." I laughed in exasperation. "Divorce? Why would I divorce? My husband treats me so well, why would I divorce?" "Because I can treat you well too, Grace. Please, give me another chance, okay? Let's try again." "I've tried it. Your heart can be split in two. You're not the ideal partner I want." That was the old me. I'm different now. Marcus grew more and more agitated as he spoke, suddenly stepping forward. Startled, I quickly stepped back. I originally wanted to ask how he was different, but in a moment of madness, what blurted out was, "So, are you divorced?" Marcus froze, clearly not expecting me to ask that, and for a moment, panic flickered in his eyes. "And not yet, but it'll be soon. Just give me 2 more months, and I'll definitely go through with it." I was speechless, utterly fed up, and just blurted out, "Psycho." Then I turned to leave. Marcus suddenly lunged at me. I stumbled back in fright. A tall figure quickly wrapped an arm around me. I hastily looked up, meeting a pair of beautiful eyes. My heart instantly settled. It was my husband, Ethan. He shielded me behind him, glaring angrily at Marcus. Just then, Chloe also urged from the shadows. I didn't know how long she'd been secretly watching, and her voice was mocking. "Her husband's here, and you're still not giving up? I told you, I'm the only one in this world who will love you, Marcus. Come home with me." As she spoke, she moved forward to link arms with Marcus, but angrily shook her off, speaking with confidence. "So what if she has a husband? I was married back then, and you still lured me away. He's a man too, he's definitely just like me. You'll see when Grace gets pregnant. I bet this man will definitely cheat during her pregnancy." Marcus's blind confidence and his casual judgment of others disgusted me. I immediately showed him my phone screensaver. "I'm sorry, but my daughter is already a year and a half old, and my husband and I are still very much in love. As for some people, no matter who they marry, their lives are a complete mess. Maybe you should look for the reasons within yourself." Hearing this, the light in Marcus's eyes instantly dimmed. I didn't want to get entangled with him anymore, so I grabbed Ethan's hand and walked away without looking back. After that day, I never saw Marcus again. However, many classmates secretly created a small group chat to gossip about him. They probably added the wrong person because they pulled me into the group chat too. I originally wanted to leave, but I was caught off guard when I stumbled upon some hot gossip. Chloe had once been pregnant with Marcus's child, but she lost it. The reason was particularly absurd. It was said that Chloe was afraid Marcus would be lured away by someone else during her pregnancy, so she forced him to sleep with her every day. Even when doctors told her not to, she stubbornly persisted. Ultimately, the child miscarried right under Marcus's nose. Because of this, Marcus filed for divorce from Chloe, but absolutely refused to agree, and the two of them dragged it on from the beginning of the year until now. I almost died laughing when I heard this news. What goes around, comes around. Just as I was feeling fortunate to have escaped that misery, a classmate suddenly tagged everyone. "Chloe's in trouble?" Question mark. What happened? Classmates started asking questions one after another, and the group chat was instantly filled with question marks. I also became fully alert, ready to receive the hot gossip. And that classmate didn't disappoint, immediately posting the full story. To avoid getting pregnant, Chloe took emergency contraception every time she slept with Marcus. Today, after taking it, she fainted at home. When she was taken to the hospital, doctors diagnosed her with acute cerebral infarction. She already has slurred speech, and the doctors said she won't recover. Oh my God, is she crazy? You're not supposed to take emergency contraception more than twice a year, and she kept taking it. That's wild. Ask if you put a hex on her? Unbelievable. How can someone be so foolish? Watching the constantly updating chat records, a wave of complicated emotions washed over me. I couldn't believe Chloe would go to such lengths for Marcus. I shook my head and sighed, but the group chat updated with new information again. Breaking news. Marcus didn't want to take care of Chloe, so he secretly snuck out of the hospital. At the intersection, he was run over by a truck and has passed away. The police are currently determining fault. Thank you for tuning in to today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.